In a significant and costly response to the escalating crisis in Eastern Europe, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization has announced an unprecedented multi-billion-dollar emergency defense initiative aimed at rapidly increasing its military firepower. The plan, unveiled by the new NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte from the Alliance headquarters in Brussels, is centered on a massive procurement of advanced weapon systems, with the vast majority being purchased directly from the United States. This monumental arms deal represents a clear strategic decision by European allies to bolster their own defenses in the face of Russian aggression and American unpredictability. It is both a direct reaction to the shocking fall of the Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk and a complex political maneuver designed to navigate the turbulent transatlantic relationship with President Donald Trump's administration, which is currently holding the global economy hostage with its 50-day tariff ultimatum against Russia. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, the former Dutch Prime Minister known for his pragmatic and steady leadership, stood before the international press and outlined the plan in sober, urgent terms. He described the current situation as the most dangerous security moment for Europe since the end of the Cold War. The brutal reality on the battlefield in Ukraine, underscored by the tragic events in Pokrovsk, has taught us a hard lesson. Rutte stated, "A credible deterrent cannot be built on promises and potential. It must be built on steel, on readiness, and on overwhelming military strength. Therefore, the allied nations of Europe have today committed to a historic new investment in our collective security." He carefully framed the initiative not as a provocation, but as a necessary and responsible step to guarantee peace by showing any potential adversary that the cost of aggression against a NATO member would be unacceptably high. The scale of the procurement plan is breathtaking. It is not a single purchase, but a coordinated, alliance-wide effort to acquire a vast arsenal of American-made military hardware. The shopping list includes some of the most sophisticated weapons in the U.S. inventory. Multiple European nations have placed new or expanded orders for the F-35 Lightning II, the fifth-generation stealth fighter jet that is considered the cornerstone of modern air power. Another top priority is air and missile defense. Allies are collectively purchasing dozens of Patriot missiles defense batteries, the same system that have had some success in Ukraine against Russian missile attacks. The plan also calls for a massive acquisition of long-range precision fire capabilities, centered on the M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, or HIMARS, which proved so effective for Ukrainian forces. Crucially, the plan places an enormous emphasis on replenishing and expanding stockpiles of ammunition, including 155mm artillery shells, anti-tank guided missiles, and air defense interceptors, all of which have been heavily depleted by the ongoing effort to supply Ukraine. The decision to source these weapons predominantly from the United States is driven by two critical factors: speed and politics. European defense industries, while technologically advanced, simply cannot produce the required volume of weapons and ammunition on the timeline demanded by the current crisis. The U.S. defense industrial base, with its active production lines and vast scale, is the only one in the world capable of delivering such a massive quantity of hardware in a relatively short period. Interoperability, a core tenet of the NATO alliance, is the other key military driver. Purchasing American system ensures that all allied forces can seamlessly integrate their command and control, communications, and weapon system on a future battlefield. However, the political dimension of the arms deal is just as significant. The announcement was met with immediate and enthusiastic approval from the White House. President Donald Trump, in a statement posted on social media, took full credit for the development. "For years, I told them they had to pay up, and now they are finally listening," he wrote. Our great NATO allies are buying billions and billions of dollars of the best American military equipment. This is good for American jobs and good for the alliance. They are paying their fair share. It's called peace through strength, and it is working. This massive purchase serves as a tangible concession to President Trump's long-standing demand that European allies shoulder more of the financial burden of their own defense. By making this enormous investment in U.S. military technology, European leaders are effectively attempting to buy political goodwill in Washington. The deal is being overseen from the American side by Secretary of Defense Peter Hegseth, whose department managed the foreign military sales program that facilitates such transactions. Secretary Hegseth praised the NATO initiative as a bold and necessary step that would significantly enhance the alliance's combat power. A stronger NATO is a vital U.S. national security interest, Hegseth said in a Pentagon briefing. This investment will ensure that our allies on the front lines have the tools they need to deter and, if necessary, defeat any threat. We will work to expedite the delivery of these critical capabilities. The deal also received strong backing from the president's economic team. Secretary of Commerce Howard Lutnick hailed the plan as a major boost for the American manufacturing sector, predicting that it would support tens of thousands of high-paying jobs across the country. Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent noted that this massive inflow of foreign capital would help strengthen the U.S. economy during a period of global uncertainty caused by the ongoing tariff standoff with Russia. Within NATO, the decision was not without friction, revealing the different threats perceptions across the alliance. The nations of the eastern flank, such as Poland, Romania, and the Baltic states of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, were the most vocal and enthusiastic supporters of the plan. For these countries, the Russian advance in Ukraine is not a distant conflict but an existential threat on their doorstep. They have been advocating for such a military buildup for years and view the fall of Pokrovsk as the final terrifying piece of evidence that a powerful conventional deterrent is their only guarantee of survival. They see the American weapons as an essential lifeline. In contrast, the larger Western European powers, particularly France and Germany, agreed to the plan more out of necessity than enthusiasm. For years, Paris has championed the concept of European strategic autonomy, a vision where Europe develops its own independent military capabilities and a defense industry robust enough to act without relying on the United States. This massive US-centric arms deal is a significant setback for that long-term ambition. German officials have also expressed a preference for investing in domestic and European defense projects. However, the raw urgency of the moment and the undeniable reality of the Russian military threats have forced them to prioritize immediate security over their long-term strategic goals. They have joined the consensus because they recognize that only the US can provide the required military might in the short term, and they see the deal as a necessary price to pay to keep the alliance unified and to keep the United States engaged in European security. As expected, the Kremlin reacted to the NATO announcement with condemnation and scorn. The Russian Ministry of Defense issued a statement calling the arms deal an aggressive and reckless escalation that would only increase the risk of a direct conflict. Russian state media portrayed the European nations as vassals of Washington, spending their own people's money to enrich the American military-industrial complex. A Russian foreign ministry official publicly mocked the move, stating that no amount of American weaponry will change the strategic reality, and that Russia would take all necessary measures to ensure its own security in the face of this new buildup. The new NATO defense plan injects a powerful new element into the global crisis. It is a clear signal that European nations are preparing for a potential long-term military confrontation with Russia. Regardless of the outcome of the war in Ukraine, it also fundamentally alters the dynamic of President Trump's tariff ultimatum. By making this immense financial commitment, the European allies have effectively met one of his core demands, which may give them more leverage to influence his decision during the remaining days of the 50-day countdown. They can now argue that they have done their part to strengthen the alliance and that a full-blown economic war with its devastating consequence for European economies is an unnecessary and counterproductive step. Yet, for all its scale and significance, the arms deal does not resolve the immediate crisis. The weapons and system purchase will take months, and in some cases years, to be manufactured, delivered, and integrated into European military force. The deterrence it aims to build is for the future. The threat of the Russian army advancing in Ukraine and the threat of the American economic ultimatum are happening right now. The 50-day clock continues to tick down, and the world remains on edge, caught between an active war, a looming economic conflict, and now a new and massive arms race. Secretary General Rudy's bold move has strengthened NATO's long-term military posture, but it has not yet extinguished the immediate fire threatening to consume the continent. Many of my listeners, like 70%, haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel. And so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed. And that is actually what makes the show going. It's almost like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask again and again, because it enables us to grow and grow and grow. And we're going for the long haul here. And listen, if this is your first time listening to Sokhain Rich, you don't have to subscribe. You guys, you're first ones on me. But if you have watched this show before, it's like you are a freeloader now. So all I would ask you is, if you have seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team here. Hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build the show for you. That I swear, thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. That's all for me for today. I will see you soon. Bye for now.